I got my hands on the new Wacom One 13-inch. This is a budget pen display, but unlike other budget tablets like this out there, it has a touchscreen, so let's check it out. Hello, my name is Brad. I review tech for creative professionals, and I haven't exactly been the biggest fan of Wacom's latest Wacom One line. They just aren't delivering the kind of value I would expect at the price points they're coming in at. And I was pretty harsh on the 12-inch version of this tablet that I reviewed. It came in at the same price as the old 13 that's about 4 years old now, but with less features and a smaller screen size. Now this tablet's a little bit different because it's also bringing a touchscreen to the party. The Wacom brand name is synonymous with quality, or at least higher end products like the Intuos line or the Cintiq Pros, where they pack as many features in as they can to their drawing tablets. And this also results in a bigger, just a higher price tag. Oftentimes twice as much as what their competitors are charging for pretty much the same thing. The Wacom One line aims to be a discounted version of Wacom's high-end products. Basically, we take some features away and then we can compete directly with the likes of Huion and XP Pen and even newcomers like Sense Labs. And so that's what this tablet is. So let's break down the specs we have. First of all, we have the display. This thing comes at 13.3 inches corner to corner. Now, this is a nice LCD panel that also has touch capabilities. It's also full HD. We're talking 1920 by 1080. It has a nice matte finish on the screen, which cuts down on the overhead lights if you're setting it directly down on your desk. But it also adds a little bit of texture to it so that when you're drawing on it with a pen, it's not sliding around like a smooth, glossy finish. It actually feels pretty good to draw on. Now, like the 12-inch version, the screen here is pretty much the same quality there, and it's kind of a cheaper panel. Like the 12-inch version, this is a pretty inexpensive display. It's fine, it gets the job done, but the colors and the viewing angles on it aren't really all that great, especially when you compare them to its competitors that are similarly priced. Now, one thing this does have going for it is this is a laminated display. Now, this is a big upgrade over the last generation Wacom One. What a laminated display does is it bonds the glass to the screen below it. It gets rid of the little gap that we used to find between those two things. That little gap used to cause a lot of trouble with pens. Not a lot of trouble, but it was kind of annoying because what it did is it created that gap and it created an effect called parallax, where oftentimes your pen and the cursor below it didn't always match up, so it messed with the accuracy. But at the same time, this is something that for the last 3 or 4 years, the competitors have already been doing, so this is just Wacom catching up. But one area where Wacom is hoping to really leapfrog their competitors is in touch. There are no other tablets at this size that have a touchscreen. But where Wacom hopes to leapfrog the competitors with this particular product is with that touchscreen. There are no other drawing tablets at this size, at this price point, that also have touch capability. The touch gestures on this tablet work really well. That was something that I was pleasantly surprised by. Now, there is a dramatic difference between the touch gestures that you experience on Windows and the touch gestures you experience on a Mac. You've probably seen me pan around or try to zoom in Photoshop, and it's really, really clunky. It does not look natural or organic at all, and that's not necessarily Wacom's fault. Every single touch device I have ever used on a Mac performs like this when I'm using a drawing program. Now, let's move over to Windows, and we're still using Photoshop here. When I pinch to zoom, when I'm panning around, the touch gestures are beautiful. I think this has way more to do with how the operating systems work than specifically this tablet. Now, while I was drawing, I did occasionally get the false positive with my palm. In fact, I accidentally switched layers and I drew my ink on 3 different layers while I was just doing the sketch that you're seeing me draw now. There's also some dots here and there. It wasn't horrible, but it's the type of thing that if you spend 20 minutes drawing on the wrong layer could ruin your day. Now, the build quality here is okay. It is a plastic product, but it still feels solid. It's also very lightweight, which is a nice touch. It doesn't have the fold-out feet that the old version did, so if you do want to set this up at any kind of angle, you're going to have to buy a stand or buy the little feet that Wacom sells on their website for an additional $45. Now, if you have a USB Type-C port on your laptop that supports higher-end transfer speed, you can run this with just one cable. Like the Thunderbolt port on my Mac, that's all I need. One cable, I'm good to go. And that also makes this really, really portable. I could see putting my laptop in a bag and then sliding this in there with it. If you don't have a port that supports it on your laptop, on the other hand, you're going to need some way to actually plug this into a wall to draw in enough power to use it properly. So you're going to want to buy an extra USB-C cable and a power adapter in order to do that. Or if you have like an HDMI port on your machine instead of USB-C, you might want to check out the 3-in-1 cable. On Wacom's website, they've tried to clean it up in the last few weeks. They've made a customizer which walks you through the process to make sure that you get a pen when you buy this thing, to make sure you're getting the right cables on this thing. When I first used it and bought some of the earlier products, it was really confusing as to whether it came with a pen or not. They've seemed to have cleared that up. If you buy this from like a third party, like right now, the only place I can find it listed on is B&H Photo. That version already comes with 2 USB Type-C cables. It already comes with a power adapter. It already comes with most of the things you'll probably need. We're going to talk about drawing because I love drawing. If you want to get deeper into drawing, you should check out my latest course, Learn to Draw in 60 Days. Every day there's a new lesson. You go in there, you learn something. The next day we build on top of that. We're talking about fundamentals. It's really geared towards beginners. You can go at your own speed. So if you already kind of understand perspective a little bit, you can keep going that day. Or you can slow things down and take the homework assignments at your own pace, maybe doing 2 or 3 a week. And if you're wondering what to do with your sketches when you're done, I also have another course called Intro to Digital Art, which talks about brushes and techniques and that sort of thing. Anyway, bradsartschool.com if you'd like to learn more about those. Back to the video. So we need to talk about this pen. Wacom makes 2 kinds of pens. They actually make 3, but we're just going to talk about 2 right now. They make their Pro pens, which work on their Cintiq lines, and then they make these pens. And this is the same technology that you find in like a Samsung S Pen. So this is definitely a step down from the Pro pen, but I still feel like it's a really good pen. When I'm drawing with it, I get good pressure levels. I get really nice accuracy. The initial activation rate, at least on this tablet, it's okay. It's not nearly as good as the Pro Pen, but it'll get by. One thing that I was finding on the Wacom One tablets, the ones without screens, is that initial activation rate and the pressure in general was a little bit wonky. I found a video by a YouTuber named The 7 Pen, and he goes into great detail about some of the things he found. Overall, I think that many of the things you'll find in this pen, if you're coming from, say, the Wacom Pro Pen or something like that, or an Apple Pencil, you're going to notice the downgrade. If this is your first device, I don't think you are, and I don't think those are such a big deal. But you also have to compare this device to what else is out there, and when you look at what Huion is doing with their pens, I think their pens offer a better drawing experience than what this pen is offering here. Those have a little bit more wiggle to the line, but I find that the pressure sensitivity and that sort of thing just tends to be a little bit better, and the wiggle that you find in those lines that you don't necessarily find here is something that can be easily tackled by turning up the smoothing inside the art program you're using. Now, something I don't talk about a lot with these tablets is how well it works when you plug it into like an Android phone, but this one I'm going to make an exception for, and that is because of the touchscreen. Personally, I don't like using these on Android phones because Android phones are designed, those apps are designed for you to like pinch and zoom and tap around and that sort of thing, and when you take those touch functions away, all of a sudden you have to do everything with the pen, and it's really clunky and it's weird, and you can't do everything that you want to do, and those programs they're just not a good user experience on a non-touch tablet. But here we have a touch tablet, and I found it to be much better. It's not quite as good from a touch perspective as, say, the native touch experience. It seemed to be a little bit laggy, at least on my phone. It just took a second to kind of register what I was doing here and there, but it totally worked. So would I recommend this if you want to draw on an Android device or draw on your Android phone? Actually, no. Not because it doesn't work well, but because at this price point, are probably just better off buying like an inexpensive Samsung Galaxy Tab, because then you're getting a really nice screen. You're getting a really nice touch experience. You're getting those apps natively instead of kind of running them through this screen. And you're getting the same exact pen, at least the same exact pen technology with the S Pen. That would be my advice. So I wouldn't buy this necessarily for Android devices, even though it works fairly well with them. So in conclusion, what do I think? I think the touchscreen is a really nice addition here. Do I recommend it? if you really, really want a touchscreen drawing tablet at this size, kind of at this price point, I think that makes it worthwhile for some people. I don't think it's the best thing out there. I think Wacom could have done better. I know they could have done better at this price point, but in general, I think it gets by. I also think that if you're brand new to drawing, I'm not sure this is the direction I would go, especially at this price point. Like I said a minute ago, I would really look into Samsung's Galaxy tablets, their actual Android tablets. They're using the same pen technology. Like I said before, you're getting a better screen. When we're talking about pure value, if you're looking at the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite, that's a $300 Android tablet. Totally portable. Comes with all of those apps, or you can get a bunch of apps for it. It could do so much more than what this tablet can do, and I just feel like it's better. And that's been my advice to beginners in general, is it's probably better to get an iPad or an Android tablet than it is to get a drawing tablet, at least an expensive one. If you're a professional artist and you need to draw in Photoshop, or you're working with a team and you need to be on a desktop, totally makes sense to go with one of these. But if you do, I wouldn't go with an inexpensive one. I'd get a nice professional one instead. And so that leaves this no man's land where these products kind of exist. So I'm not really sure what to do with them, because I think there's better stuff out there, especially at the price. But what do you think? Let me know down below in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you in a couple of days.